Hey, oh, hey. Welcome back. It's your girl, Jay.
And this is your girl, Layla. Welcome back to another episode of Coffee and Convos. Meanwhile, I did not have coffee today, so this is a lie. It was all a lie.
I got my coffee. I needed it.
I only have water. I'm struggling. It was a struggle day, but anywho, how have you been?
I'm all right, girl. I'm all right. I'm just tired. Like I was telling you off air. That I need to take some days. Like I need to take like a break. Like I'm tired. Like I'm actually fatigued. So I just need to I saw a post the other day and this one was saying how something her therapist had told her, when you're feeling overwhelmed, you don't need to rest. You need to pause, but you need to like figure out what you need you need to make a plan and you need to figure out what's causing it. Like you're not getting everything done or whatever. Like you need to pace yourself better. Maybe time blocking. I know time blocking really helps me when I do it, but I'm not consistent with it. And I need to start being a little bit more consistent with it because I see it happening like all over. Like I'm working late or whatever. And I don't want that to fall into like my time with like my family and stuff like that because I can see that happening and I'll just be stuck in my office. Like I'll just be like, well, I'm be over here, y'all. Like, you know what I mean? And I don't want that to happen because I like to sit down and have dinner and cook and all those things. So I'm like, okay, do I get up early and work a little bit earlier and like knock that out because I'm already a morning person? You know, if I'm having a time where like I am really busy, you know, like I'm trying to build this business and get more clients and stuff like that. So that's a hefty lift. And then with everything that's just been going on in my life, I just know that like I'm fatigued and I need to like just take a break.
So when you say you need a break, like what is a break for you? Because I feel like a break is different for different people, right? So
I need a break. Like I need to unplug.
Like is it like I need a vacation or is it like I need, I don't know, a day at the spa where my phone is turned off and no one can connect with me and I can connect with people, you know, because I like to hear different. I guess I'm asking because I feel like I've heard so many different, like moms and what their breaks are considered.
Yeah. So honestly, I feel like I need a combination of all of them.
Okay.
I think I need a break from work just to clean up my personal life.
Okay.
And then I feel like I also just need a break to just unplug, like off, no digital, like be off the grid for a little bit and just have that time like with self and, you know, if it's with partners, with my family, whatever, just like really have that time and unplug. I tend to be like, oh yeah, I'll come visit. Like I'll go visit my family, but I'll still be working, which I don't think is good.
No.
Like you really need to unplug. And I used to be really good at it. And I kind of lately have fallen in the trap of not. And I'm like, no, you got to get back to that.
Yeah.
And just, you know, I prioritize my health. Like I make sure that like I'm working out every morning and all that stuff. But I'm not prioritizing probably like my mental health as much as I usually do. And it's like, okay, you're tired. Like your body's tired. You were tired. And it's just like time. Like you need to take some breaks. But yeah, so I need to take a break to get like my personal life together. So take a break from work and do some like personal things in my house and just for me. And then, yeah, I feel like I do need like a solid vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe one of those break days will be like going to get a massage in the morning.
Oh yeah.
You know? Because I used to do it like once a month. Like I would go have a spa day. But then I would also work though. I would work from that area that day.
Yeah.
Which is not always
necessarily good. We can plan a spa day.
Yeah. That would be fun.
Upcoming.
I'm always down.
Soon.
I'm always
Seriously,
down for a spa day.
I would like to do that too. I haven't been to a spa in a long time.
I was
supposed to go in Mexico, but I didn't even end up going to the spa. So.
Oh darn.
Yeah. Definitely.
Is spa month gonna come up?
Oh yeah.
Is it August or September?
I thought it was like end of July. You're right. It's
coming up. So we can plan. Let's do it. Yeah. And I'm taking that day. Like I'm off.
Take the day off from work.
I'm taking the day off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool beans.
So yeah, but that's what's going on. So guys, if you guys are feeling that too, take a break. Take a PTO day. If you work full time, take a PTO day. If you don't work full time, just take a day. Yeah. You know, if you can create that in your life, do it. because you can't really do much if you're fatigued. Like if you're tired, you're not going to be able to get much done.
Yeah. So. No, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll just go right into the episode. So, we here in Miami, we lost someone in the community who was loved by many.
Mm-hmm.
He was a business owner. He was an artist. He was an activist.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, a brother,
mm-hmm.
son, a friend. I mean, all the things.
Yeah.
And so I feel like a lot of people here in Miami are,
mourning.
experiencing, they're mourning and experiencing grief.
Mm-hmm.
And so this episode is going to be dedicated on coping with grief.
Yes.
And I feel like, I don't want to say everybody has dealt with grief. I hope, some people have not, because it's really one of the worst things I personally have dealt with in my entire life.
Yeah, me too.
So this episode is just us telling you guys how we cope with it. Obviously, what works for me and what works for Keisha may not work for you, but this is just us sharing our experience with grief and what we do to, keep ourselves sane and just, work through this life with that grief that's always present in there,
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
Doesn't matter. I can kick it
you
off.
Paused. So.
I know.
Okay, go ahead.
It was a mouthful. So I would say for me, so on Thursday actually would be 3 years since I lost my father. So for me, dealing with grief has been pretty crazy and weird and just rocky. It's never been like the same consistently for the past 3 years, So for me, I would say as a mom, I know people are like, how do people grieve with kids,
Yeah.
And I will say having my kids have helped me through my grief because I feel like I have this source of joy and the source of like love and a source of, like they need me and they want me and they, let's play mom, let's do this dance mom, let's do it. And it, even when I'm like in the deepest like sadness of my grief, I'm reminded that, you can also experience joy at like they can both be there together.
Exactly.
The sadness and the joy. And so for me, I would say my children have really, really helped me through the process of losing my father, and so I guess my tip would be, if you don't have kids, if you have nieces or nephews or little cousins or, kids that you mentor or anything, I feel like kids are just so pure.
Yeah.
Being around children, obviously don't go out there and just go fight any kid. You're going to go to jail.
Yes.
But what I am saying is if you have children in your life and, their parents or, their guardians, whoever, they are allowing you to spend time with them, take the opportunity and spend time with them.
Yeah.
Be like, you know what? I'm going to go. Can I take them to the park? Can I take them swimming? Whatever the case is, make that plan and see how you feel after.
Yeah.
You might be exhausted because kids are exhausting. Let's be real.
But you'll feel better.
But you will feel better. So that's my number one, I would say, coping with grief for me. What has been helping me out.
Yeah.
Also, obviously, having a partner who's supportive, and I don't want to say understand, because some partners didn't experience grief. For example, like, Armin has his family, thank God. Like, he didn't experience the loss of a parent, right? So does he fully understand, like, how I feel? And, no, he doesn't, because he did not experience that. And I feel like with grief, you have to personally experience it for you to really understand when someone else is going through it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you can't do anything to help them. I'm saying, obviously, you can offer help. You can, cook meals. You can send meals. You can be like, hey, do you want to, chat about it? Or do you just want me to sit here and just let you cry? And, there's different ways you can help somebody. But I feel like if you have not experienced grief yourself, it's hard for you to really get the full understanding. And I only say this, I only say this because before I lost my dad, I've had friends who have lost parents, who have lost siblings. I've had people who have lost someone who they truly loved in their life.
Yeah.
And of course I felt sad and, for them. And I was like, oh my God, my condolences. I'll pray for you. And send flowers and, just doing the things that I think would help. Right.
Yeah.
And then after it happened to me, I'm like, I did not fully understand what they were going through. I felt guilty.
Mm-hmm.
I actually felt guilty.
Yeah.
Because I was like, damn, I did not show up for that person.
Yeah.
Like, how did I not do, why didn't I do that? And then when I sit back, I'm like, you can't be guilty because you did not fully understand.
You didn't know how to.
And you didn't fully understand that concept of losing a parent or, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I mentioned that. But what were you going to say?
I was going to say, and it's the type of person that you lose as well.
Oh, for sure.
Because I know I would unravel losing a parent. I haven't lost a parent, but I have lost grandparents that were like parents. Mm-hmm. So that was really hard. And then I lost my brother.
Right. So I wouldn't understand a sibling loss because I have not experienced that, right?
Exactly. So it's the type. That's the only thing I was gonna it's the type of loss.
Yeah.
Because losing a parent, especially when you're close to your parent, or I can't imagine. Yeah. I can't imagine. And my parents are getting older, so I'm like, oh my God, but it's a different level. Or losing a child, like my sister lost her son.
Yeah.
And she's still just she's hitting 3 years as well. And I tell my family, I'm like, please don't rely on her right now. She just can't. She does not have the capacity and she can't give you what you need, because my mom will always say oh, she's not the same. And I was like, no, she's not. One would be. I was like, she's not going to be the same. I said, you want her to come back to you as whole, and she's not. She literally lost a part of her child. So that is, and my mom knows what that feels like, mm-hmm. because she also lost a son. So she knows what it feels like. But I think my mom is very much, you got to get up and keep going. She comes from that generation.
They don't sit with, the loss. They're all right, we got to keep it moving, moving.
Yeah. And I think she kind of made me like that. And it's like a gift and a curse, because when everyone's falling apart, you kind of are able to hold it together. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, does it really give you that good time to grieve?
Yeah.
So it just, I just wanted to touch on that. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Definitely put, I would love to hear your input
but
too.
I think it's the level, there's different levels when it comes to the type of person and how you were close you were to them.
Absolutely. I definitely mm-hmm. agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Let's see. I guess another thing is that continues to help me with it is my siblings.
Mm-hmm.
So having people who shared that experience with the person that you lost
mm-hmm.
is, I didn't realize how big this would be helpful, because mm-hmm. we can talk about our childhood for, I don't know, 5 days straight on the phone if we could. Saying, oh, do you guys remember when we did this? And we were just cracking up. So it's
mm-hmm.
laughing about all the memories that we had, and then crying because we're sad. And then just sharing that grief with people who experience the person you lost. You guys all experienced this person together.
Mm-hmm.
Has been tremendous. With, I wouldn't say healing, but
mm-hmm.
just going through this process, knowing I'm not the only one in the world
that's dealing with
this. Yeah. And there are other people who knew this person just as well as I did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my brother's older, so longer than I did.
Yeah.
Really helps. Really, really helps. Even till this day, we'll text each other oh my God, I did this today, and it reminded me of Dad when he did this, and we're like, oh my God, it's funny. And so, it also made me think about, I'm so glad that we gave Sana a sibling,
mm-hmm.
because I'm God forbids the day I go or Armin goes, it's they'll have that shared, memory of us together, and they can rely on each other and be oh, let's talk, let's talk. We're both struggling, obviously.
Yeah.
Let's go sit down and let's go talk. And they'll have all these memories to talk about,
mm-hmm.
And before I lost my dad, I never thought about that ever. Oh, you'll need your siblings when you will lose a parent.
Yeah.
So that was, that's another thing that has helped me go through the grieving process, and I'm obviously still going through it. It's never gonna end.
No, and grief is not it's not linear. There are going to be times where it's super hard, and then there's going to be times where you're okay and like you're having all those happy memories, and then there's times where like you're super angry. Like I remember when my brother died, I was super angry.
Yeah, I was too. I was super angry with the way it happened, and I'm like, why would this happen this way? Like, this is not fair.
That's not how it was supposed to happen.
He was a good person. Like, he didn't harm anyone. He was always nice to everybody. Like, why would God allow him to?
You're angry.
Why?
Yeah.
Like, I was absolutely angry. I mean, I was mad at the world.
Yeah.
And the craziest part is I was like, why does the world keep going?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, y'all need to all be like, stop your lives because I lost somebody who was so important to me.
Yeah.
You guys all should be like sad too.
Yeah.
And it's like, girl, they didn't know him.
Yeah.
Why are you like, when I tell you I was unreasonable?
Yeah.
Like, it's terrible. But that's just the emotions of everything you feel. You're like, there's times where you're just like, I'm just so thankful I got to experience my dad for so long. You know, like there are people, you know, and I'd say there are people who didn't ever get to experience a dad.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel better. And then I'm like, that's not a nice thought, but it's just the reality because you lost someone, you're hurting. Yeah. So you're thinking of things to make you feel better.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, there are people, and you know, it got bad because I used to be like, I know dads who are terrible. Why didn't they die?
Oh,
no,
girl.
I'm so serious.
No, yeah, no, you do.
And I'm like, they don't deserve to be out here because they're terrible. They don't take care of their kids. They're not like, they're bad people, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, why would my dad go when he was like the best?
Yeah.
And so, you know, when I look back at, you know, just the process, I'm just like, damn, I went through some shit.
Exactly. Yeah. All the emotions.
And I'm like, why am I wishing death on people? I was like, you know what? I need to like reel this in. I need to really like lean into God and just, you know, lean into like the way that my dad raised me. He would not be happy with me saying something like that. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, Layla, it's okay to be mad. It's okay to be angry, but let's not push it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, grief is insane. What else I was thinking about that has helped me? I think I wrote some things down actually. Okay. But it's been a roller coaster ride. I will say that.
Yeah.
It has been a roller coaster.
I would say do counseling. I know that like say if you don't have siblings, or if there's no one there for you that is also going through the experience with you, it's really good to do some sort of counseling and to talk to someone, because there are other people out there that have dealt with grief or the type of grief that you're dealing with. And it's just always good to connect with someone on that. And you can share your memories with that person, or, you know, with a counselor or something like that. They're trained to deal with this type of stuff, so you're not burdening them or anything like that. And you know, it's just really good to get it out. It's really good to talk to someone. I know that when my brother passed, I didn't do any counseling, and I really wish I had done it at that time. And now my therapist is on speed dial, but
yeah,
I think it's really good to have that. Like, you really should. You need to talk through those things, because, like I said, grief is not a linear thing at all.
Yeah,
and you're gonna feel different emotions at different times, and you're not going to be the same. You're really going to be changed forever. When you deal with that, like, you're changed forever.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely. Yeah. I'm just like, for sure, you're not going to feel like you're yourself prior to losing that person. Another thing I've realized with grief is like, when you cry, okay, I'm trying to think of how to explain it. When I cry because I'm sad that I don't have my dad, right? Like, even the tears, like, it burns. I'm like, the pain, it's like, not only am I feeling the pain because he's not here, but even I feel a burning in my nose.
Yeah.
I feel a burning in my eyes. It's not like a regular cry. Like,
it's not.
When I regular cry, it's just like, I don't feel burning or anything. I'm just regular crying, right? But when I cry because I lost, like, I'm feeling sad or whatever, and, you know, connection to my dad, it hurts.
Yeah.
I'm just,
because it's hard. It's like heartache. It's heartache. Yeah. It's very, very, it's painful.
And I've never,
and, you know, and you lost somebody that's like, and like I always say, like, you're a part of them. Like your parent, it's a different level to be, I guess, when it's your parent or if it's your child, like you either made that person or that person made you, or you came from that person. So it's just a different level of grief. It's a different level of pain. Like you felt their energy. You were in their energy. Like you're a part of their energy. You know what I mean? So it's a really different level of connection.
Yeah. And I don't think I've ever heard anyone talk about the difference in your cry after you lose somebody. Like legit. And I was like, and the funny thing is I just started noticing that maybe not too long ago. And I'm like, every time I cry, like a regular cry, it's just like regular tears, whatever, you know? But when I cry because of like, I know like I'm sad or I'm like, you know, grief hits you out of nowhere and you just start crying. And I'm like, it burns. Like not only like I'm physically hurting, but also my cry is hurt.
It hurts. Because I feel like a grief cry or like when you're really sad, it's like a sob.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not just like, all right, let me get it together. Yeah. You know, it's like a sob. You're really like feeling all of that. Whenever I can think back to, I guess my first time with grief was like my best friend was killed when I was like 14. And that was like the first level. Like, and the pain I felt when I was at her funeral, I was like, wow, like this is like, I was almost in shock. And then I saw her and that was it. Like I lost it.
Yeah.
And I was like, that level of like, oh my God, like you feel like you're going to fall apart.
Yeah.
Like literally like you're going to fall apart. So it's a sob. It's not just like it's not like I'm frustrated cry. It's like
there's nothing I can do.
There is nothing I can do. Like, this is uncontrollable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the hopeless cry, you know?
Yeah, because like, they're not coming back. Yeah. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Like, all you have is memory, and that's it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And even over time, sometimes that fades because we're getting older, you know? So, like, you have pictures, and that's why I was like, take pictures, make memories, like, all of those things. Like, you need all those things because they're just so good to have, you know?
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of the craziest things that I've experienced with grief.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like it can come and go at a drop of a like dime. It's just like you could be like do, and then it's just like something and it hits you and
something
you're just
triggers
like
you.
Just in a ball of tears. You're just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But yeah, just every time I like come across someone who is just recently like newly like experiencing a loss or grief, like my heart aches so much for them because I'm like, oh my God, I know what you're about to go. I mean, I know the pain.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, even till now, I don't know what to say to someone who lost, you know, someone because
you don't.
Even for me, I'm still like, I just don't know. You know, I don't know what's going to make you feel better. I don't know what's going to, you know, trigger you and you're going to be mad or I just don't know. Yeah. And I feel like, I don't know, perhaps maybe I need to read a book.
No, I mean, like,
maybe I need
like
to
we
read
keep
a book
saying, like grief is like, and everybody deals with it differently.
Yeah.
Like some people are great with it. They're just like, okay. Like I remember when Jake's father had passed and he was like an amazing human, like probably very similar to how Danny's homegoing was. That was very similar to how Jim's was. Like he just was like an amazing human.
Okay. Like touched so many lives.
Just, like there were so many people that went up and talked and I was like, oh, the heck is that? What is that? You know what I mean? And obviously I didn't know him his whole life, but it just was so beautiful to see the like outpour of people that came out for him. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is wild. And I just got to know him for such a short period of time, but it still was like, he still was just such a beautiful person. And the way I saw that, like Jake was like crushed, and Eli was so different. Eli was like very like just held it. Eli's his brother. Okay. And just to see how they dealt with it, and maybe Eli dealt with it a little bit different later on privately. But I remember Jake telling me like, I don't know how Eli's dealing with this, but like I'm literally falling apart. And Eli was like, okay, Dad's not here anymore. And he was like very calm. So it's like you really don't know what to say. That's why a lot of people say like, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so sorry for your loss. And like, I'll pray for you because a lot of times it's like, you really don't know what you're going to say that could send somebody into a ball of tears or they could get super angry or you don't know. Like, And I think that's why a lot of people are like, okay, I'm going to bring food. I'm going to be there as much as I possibly can. And, you know, if they just need to cry in my arms, I'll let them cry in my arms. Like, but I'm going to I think the best thing you can do for someone that's dealing with grief is be present.
Yeah.
You know, be present.
You don't have to say much.
You don't have to say much. You don't have to do much.
There's really nothing you can say.
No.
At that time.
Mm-mm.
I feel like just being there, present, like you said.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think would be helpful for sure.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the best thing. But I think one of my tips is like focusing in on the happy times, focusing in on the memories. Like,
excuse me.
That's kind of how I deal with it. I usually have like a big cry, like when they have their homegoing is like when I have like the big cry. But leading up to that, I just focus on the happy times. I focus on the memories. I focus on like spending time. And that's why I pride myself on this, is like always checking in with people. You never know what's going on in someone's life. You never know what they're going through. But I think it's really good to check in. Even if you guys haven't talked in 6 months, like check in. Like it's really good to check in with people and be there for people, because you never know when it's somebody's time. You never know when they're going to go. You just never know. And that's one thing that I appreciate about anybody that's passed in my life. I spent time.
Yeah.
You know, I spent time with them, and, you know, I had good memories and happy memories, and that's how I remember them, you know, as opposed to, even if it's someone that like I may not even talk to anymore or something like that, like I can focus on like those good times. And, you know, if, you know, we aren't around each other anymore, I can still like be like, okay, you know, we ended good. You know what I mean? So I think making those memories and having those memories with people, like focus on those happy times with them.
Yeah.
I think really, really helps.
And if you have someone, I feel like in your life who is family, right? Or like someone really close, you guys were close at some point, whatever, and something went left. Like, I feel like, I know it's cliche and they're like, don't try to fix, like, life is short.
Yeah.
You know, at least you, like I said, I feel like I said in the other episode, you don't have to be buddy with this person anymore, but just to be like, I forgive you.
Yeah.
You know, I forgive you.
Yeah.
Because you just never know. And then, you know, God forbids, you know, they pass away or something. You're like, man, I've been mad at this person over this for this long. And now I can't even, they're not here anymore.
Yeah. And even if they're a person that like, maybe they're unreasonable. Like I understand that there are some people, like if they're an abuser or something like that. There's limits.
Yeah,
there's limits, guys. We're not telling you to go back to someone that was harmful.
I'm talking about like the little things.
But the little things, like if it was petty, like let's get through this. So we're not, you know, you don't have that feeling of like, damn, I should have said something, you know?
Right.
I guess
a good way to think about it is like, if this person passed away and we didn't hash this out, how would you feel?
Yep.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not saying like go back to someone who's abusing you or a rapist or whatever the case is. I'm saying for things that you're
let that relationship die.
Yeah, you're like, for things you're like, yeah, we could have fixed that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, y'all. The person that is dealing with grief, I think, remember that they're dealing with grief, first of all. And don't try to have, I'm not saying don't have expectations of them, but maybe the expectations that you had of them in the past, let those go. I think you have to let those go. I know that they just may not be that same person. There are a lot of people that really just don't come back from grief, especially I know that just from like people that have dealt with grief, especially when it came to like kids, because it's it's not the natural process.
Yeah.
I know that people just really don't come back to themselves. It's really hard. It's really, really hard. And it takes a lot of work, but it's just not easy. So I think try and give them grace, like really, really give them grace and just give them the space to grieve how they grieve. Because it's hard. Like I couldn't imagine losing my child. Like I could not imagine that. No. So, yeah, don't be as hard on them. Don't be like, oh, you need to, like, you got to pick yourself up or you got to do this or you got to do. They don't really. Yeah, they may need to, but grief is not linear. It's going to be really hard. It's not the easiest thing. So please give people grace that are going through that grieving process. Yes, you can make suggestions. Like maybe it's time to sit down with somebody or something like that. You can definitely make suggestions, especially if you're really worried about them. But definitely give them that time and give them that grace because it's hard. It's really, really hard.
And there's no I feel like there's no limit. Like there is no enough time that passed. Like you're like, okay, you should be fine now. It's been 5 years. Like, no, that's just not how it works. Because I'm like, for me, it's only been 3 years. And I'm like, this is never going, I'm just realizing like, I'm never going to be okay about this.
No.
Ever. And so, you're right. You need to be able to have whoever, whether it's your partner or your family members or whoever, like, friends, like they should, and it's hard. I feel like it's hard to remember sometimes when you're like, you see the person and they're happy and, they're like lively and things are good, but you're like deep down, they're still suffering from that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I would say recently, it was like a few months ago where I was just like, just not acting like myself because I was grieving. I was just like, this sucks. Like, why did this happen? Like, I'm still mad, like, and I was just like, not the nicest person towards Armin. I was just like, just leave me alone, please. Like, whatever. And I think he forgot, like, I'm still grieving. And then he's like, what is wrong with you? Like, why are you acting like that towards me? And I just broke down and started crying. And he was just like, what's happening? Like, and I'm just like, it's not you. It's just about my dad. And he was just like, I'm so sorry. I forgot. So, everyone's human, right? Like people, especially, I feel like I'm talking about the people who lost someone like years, not the new ones. Of course, I feel like when you just lost someone, people are going to be extra, careful around you, giving you more grace and this and that. But even after the years go by, I think people need to remember like, oh, this person may be still dealing with this, and more than likely they are.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes and you have to have also like those check-ins with yourself, like when you're dealing with certain things, because I know I can be like that. Like I'll be bitey sometimes too, and I'm like, where the fuck is this coming from? Like, you know what I mean? Because sometimes you're not even aware of it.
No, you're
and
not.
then like I'll sit and I'll have a moment with myself, and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling this way because this is what's going on. And then what I'll do is I'll check in like with TC, and I'm like, look, I know I've been nasty, and I was like, but this is what's going on right now. This is what I'm dealing with. This and he's like, okay. And I'm like, yeah, this is why I feel this way. So I think those are good things to do, is like, because sometimes you're like fighting the battle by yourself.
A lot of times.
And it's like, you don't need to. You know what I mean? Like you can like say like, hey, this is what's going on. I'm gonna be okay, but this is what I'm dealing with right now. And I think a lot of times like we like to fight the good fight and not say anything. Like I'm gonna be all right. But it's like, no, like also it's affecting your surroundings, you know what I mean? And you may not see that, but like it's affecting your surroundings and stuff like that. And sometimes you may need to speak up and say like, I need time out. Like I need to time out for a little bit and just like gather myself, and then, check back in, So sometimes that's like a good thing to do. I know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Because I feel like in that moment, I didn't even realize why I was acting that way either. Until I really sat there and you're like, what's wrong with you? And I'm sitting there like, what is wrong with me? And I'm like, oh, I know exactly what's wrong with me. So you're right. You really need to check in also with yourself. And, realize when you need, like you said, you're like, you know what? I'm feeling it really bad right now. I need to step back. Because I don't want to like cuss everybody out.
Exactly. Like, give me 5 minutes. Because it's about to get crazy in here. No.
Oh,
it definitely happens. So I don't know. Are those our tips?
I think so. Tips? I also looked up how, grief like affects your brain and how like it affects you. Like you're no longer, like you said, you're no longer who you were before. But it like is like messes kind of with your memory. You feeling more like spacey, like you're like, out of it sometimes. It was saying like exhaustion. Like I for sure I can say for the exhaustion, it's true, because I could be chilling all day, but if I'm like in the action of like grieving, like I'm grieving right now, like I'm feeling it right now, like I would feel like I ran 100 miles that day because my body is so torn up by the pain and the sadness. It's like, oh my God, I feel so tired. And I'm like, why am I so tired? I didn't do anything. Like, I was chilling today. Like, and I'm like, oh my God, it's because I was literally thinking about my dad today, like really hard. Like it was, it was a slow day and then I'm thinking about it. And so that, you also have to give yourself grace because like, you may not be on top of things like you used to be.
No.
I know for sure that's a fact for me. Like sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about this. And I'm like, I forgot about that. And it's just like, I feel like a part of your brain gets consumed by grief that it takes away from, the rest of the things the way your brain used to operate before.
Exactly.
So that was an interesting fact that I read about how it affects you.
Yeah. And just to like touch on different types of grief, like we're specifically speaking to grief of like a family member or somebody close to you, but there's other things that you grieve. Grief is not just about someone passing on. Grief is relationships ending.
Absolutely.
Grief can be you losing a job, you transitioning into something else, you becoming a mother. Like I had to grieve the person I was before I had my kid. And that was really, really hard. It was exhausting. It was hard. It was like, wow, that's over. Like that does not exist anymore. You have a little human that depends on you and that loves you and that you love so much and that you're also
forget about your old
exhausted.
Life.
Yeah, like you're also so exhausted and like you're a different person.
Yeah. Like
you just birthed the whole human. So there are different levels of grief, and understand that too can be exhausting and you can feel different triggers and you can feel so many different ways about it, but like give yourself grace and take the time to go through it. I think a lot of people don't realize that you go through those different levels of grief. I think a lot of people when they talk about grief, it's just a person or someone passing on, but we grieve a lot of things. And I think us as a generation is just becoming way more in touch with that. In touch with that and being able to deal with those different levels of feelings and emotions that we may go through.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You made a good point. You're right. Because it's not just about losing someone. There are different things that occurs, like losing a friend.
Yeah.
Not physically, but you're just no longer friends with this person.
Yeah. You're like, wow, that
different.
Sucks. Yeah, that sucks. Like, so yeah. Yeah. So I just wanted to like touch on that, that there are those different levels too.
Yeah.
That you deal with.
Definitely, if you feel like, I mentioned this to Armin too, and I'm like, you know what? If I was single and I didn't have kids and I wasn't married and, I lost my dad, I feel like I'd been in a really dark place.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like having a solid village and, those times when, you do lose someone is so, so important. And I feel like it's crucial to how you continue with your grief, because you're like, I know these people care and love me and they, want me to feel better, you know? So it's really important to have, try to build even if you don't have it now, like just try to build relationships with people who, like you treat people with kindness, they treat you with kindness. Like that's just the basis of a friendship. Like it's just a give and take. It's sometimes like I need you more than you need me and vice versa. You know what I mean? Like you got to, it's hard. I feel like even as like for an adult to create that, because there are people who start fresh as an adult and you're just like, oh my God, I got to find friends. Like I don't have anybody.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. But I feel like if you're intentional and you try to find a good, solid, even if it's just one person, just having someone in your corner is super important. And I'm just grateful that I was in the situation that I was when that happened in my life. Like, I had a lot of people, my friends, my family, my mom, my siblings. Like I have so many people there for me. And, I'm forever grateful. And I never forget who was, when you have those worst times in your life, you'll never forget the people who showed up. And
I'm telling you.
We love you.
Exactly.
Here's some food. Whatever the case is. Here, I'm just going to text you. I hope telling you I'm praying for you. And
exactly.
Just the little things. And you just will never forget those things. It's so important.
They
it's
mean
so
so much.
They mean so much. And you just hope that, God forbids when the time happens to, your friend, that you can show up for them too. Because unfortunately, death is just a part of life.
It's one thing that we are promised.
Yeah, and it's sad. It's a sad reality, but it's true. So
yeah,
that is that. I think there was a deck. It's like a grief deck. I saw my league posted. And I was like, oh, she like posted one, and it was like, it was really good. And I was like, oh, I should get this, because I'm like, here I am, and I'm still looking for things that helps me through it. So I feel like this is a lifelong journey.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it was sold out, so I can't say anything about it. I can't. But I'm going to keep my eye out, and I'm going to try to get it. I feel like that would be a great thing to give someone who lost someone in their lives. Yeah. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
I think that's it. I think that's it for this episode.
Yeah, that's it. If you're, lost someone and you're grieving, my heart goes out to you.
Absolutely.
I pray that, you try your best to take care of yourself, and, try to be around people who love you and care for you. And just at the end of the day, it is what it is. And you just have to just try to go through it. And ultimately, God got you.
Definitely. That's the big one.
What you God got
you.
In your mind.
Yeah, that God got you, and God's going to pull you through it. It may feel like so dark right now, like you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, but trust me, day by day, you'll get there.
Yeah.
You'll get there. It's not that you're not going to have triggers, because I've said it a ton of times in this episode, grief is not linear. So
it's a roller coaster.
It's a roller coaster.
You're going to have great days.
And then you're going to have some days where you feel like you are under the earth.
Yeah.
But God will pull you through all of it. Keep that as your North Star.
Absolutely.
You'll get through it. Yeah. So, but thank y'all. We got a little teary-eyed on this one.
I know. It's a touchy subject. I had to try my best to hold it together.
Yeah. Because when you're not used to talking about it all the time, it's
God, it's terrible.
Yeah.
I hate talking about it to just in general.
Yeah.
Hate it, because I'm like, first thing I'm going to do is break down.
Yeah. But that's also a good release too. Know, guys, that crying is even though it can be so painful, it's just your body releasing. Yeah. It's just a reaction. So
the only reason why I stopped myself is because I'm trying to talk to you guys on a podcast. I don't want to be, because if I let it out, I'll be over here crying the whole episode.
It's gonna be a mess.
So that's why I was putting it together. But you're right. You need to let the tears flow.
Yeah.
When you're not recording a podcast.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Bye.
All right. Well, we love you guys.
Yes.
Thank you again for tuning in. And I hope you all have a great rest of your week.
Yes. Bye, y'all.
Bye.